Okay, I think I might as well get going. When Martin Moore spoke to me about this event, and I said, oh yeah, I'll do something, I hadn't actually seen the attendee list. It's rather intimidating, not least because there are people like Tom Loosemore, who are my ex-boss and mentor, and my current boss is sitting at the back. And so this is, this could be the last presentation I ever do. Stephen will be very pleased. I always start with this slide now. After 3 years of being a contractor and a freelancer, I now make it really obvious. This is, personal views, not Guardian News and Media. Other TV listings, magazines are available. Your mileage may vary. Those kind of things. I might just pause for a second as people come in. Also, I suppose from a time point of view, I should. Time. I'm talking about time, and I'm going to start with this, which is arguably Britain's first newspaper. This is a page from the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle, which kind of set the pattern for how we report news for, I guess, really the next 1,000 years so far. Every entry is pretty much someone from the political elite, whether that was like kings, nobility, bishops, minor celebrities of the day. Someone did something, somewhere, and there was some consequence. And every entry is pretty much laid out like that, in strict chronological order. This is my favourite entry, and you'll obviously realise that I'm quite a history geek if I actually have a favourite entry in the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. You can see this is very much a modern news story. This is an avian flu health and safety scare in AD 671. It was also a very slow news year. This was the only thing that happened in AD 671. Now, obviously, technology has changed our distribution channels immensely, whether it's broadsheets or the old broadsides that used to be given, or the town crier, or local council newspapers, royal proclamations. The way that we get news has changed a lot. And so over the course of 1,500 years, we've gone from this strict chronological year-by-year way of delivering news to the minute-by-minute live blog. And you'll see that it's pretty much still the same format as the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Someone did something somewhere, and there was some sort of consequence. Now, when I said on Twitter that I was going to talk about the tyranny of chronology, James Bordwell from Rattle Research in Sheffield said, if not chronology for news, then what? And I thought, ooh, that's a good point, isn't it? I haven't really thought this presentation through. And so I'm not standing here saying we have to abandon time and the concept of news building over time, because that's what happened. Events happen, we find out facts, we report about them, the story changes, more facts are added. But something keeps me awake at night, and it genuinely does keep me awake at night, and I probably should see a doctor or a psychiatrist about this, but I lay in bed worrying that, climate change, it's the fundamental geopolitical issue of our age, and I understand there are some countries where it's actually illegal to discuss climate change without a picture of a polar bear, which is why I just wanted to get that base covered. But I worry that our children are at school and they get taught climate change in geography, and they probably get taught climate change in history, and I suspect when I was doing maths at school, it was kind of, Ben's got this number of sweets and Jane's got that number of sweets. I expect nowadays they're taught maths by calculating their carbon footprint to make sure it goes thematically with climate change for that term. But when our kids come home and do their homework assignments, the chances are, given we're in a room of people, from the Guardian, the Telegraph, the Times, BBC, Channel 4, have produced acres and acres of brilliant editorial coverage, video and text about climate change. And your children, to do their homework, will go to an American company called Google and type climate change into that box, and then they will go there, where a load of people have written stuff for free, and somehow they've managed to write a better one-page overview of the topic of climate change than we have. And I wonder how we've got into this position. And I think it's because of our obsession with chronology. Now, I know there are a few people in the room for these organisations. I should say, I thought we were here in a spirit of openness and brotherly love and everything, but after the Guardian's lead story yesterday, maybe the News International aren't feeling so much love today. But we're kind of doing these topic pages things, but if you look closely at them, I think they're all really, really interesting things. We still then put here are the things we've written on this topic in reverse chronological order. There's, you know, the Telegraph's got a little bit of a header there, but it's kind of all like the latest thing on this topic. And the thing that I find frustrating is if news is so old that it's become history, we put together these fantastic packages. It's like, here's all the information and context you could ever need about something that happened 40 years ago. But if it's 6 weeks ago, we just kind of, this is the thing that happened yesterday about this thing. And we expect our readers to come with all the knowledge of the backstory and the context, and we don't really, in the digital space, provide them the framework for looking at those sort of things. Our business model has changed. We used to package things up into bits of paper that we would sell, or we would package up precisely the right amount of news that would last for half an hour at 6 o'clock on BBC One. And that's changed for us. Our atom has become the story. People can look at one video clip on a website, or they can look at one story that they've come through from Google. But I think that we kind of need to think even smaller than the atom of the article, and kind of, this is my sort of thing, you know, if you're a decent news organisation, you've probably got loads of articles about US foreign policy, and some of them will be about Cuba. And you've probably got lots of articles about President Obama and his foreign policy, and even one that's about Obama foreign policy and Cuba. And you've probably got some articles about Venezuela, and there might be travelogues and stuff like that, but there'll be some of them that also mention Cuba, and some of them that might be about US foreign policy and how it affects Venezuela. And at some point, someone will type this into your search engine. It's a complex long-tail query. And at that point, we do something really, really clever, which is we get a computer to do some maths on the words, and then we just list those documents in order. And I think we can do something much better than that if we break the story down into even smaller atoms of paragraphs and sentences, and mark things up so that we know whether these are statistics or facts. I come from a generation that uses their mobile phone instead of a watch. That's one thing about my generation. The other thing is that I was sat in a corner at school in front of a computer, and I learned to write computer programs like this. And I really enjoyed that. I can write this program in about 4 or 5 different languages now. It's really, really useful. But we've all kind of learned that computers are very good at doing repetitive tasks very quickly, like assessing documents for what words are included in them, or taking a search engine query and comparing it to those documents, and returning this list. But we always forget the second bit of this, and that is that computers are very good at doing repetitive tasks once humans tell them what the task consists of. And so anyone who's known me for any length of time, which is basically you, Tom, know that this next slide is that word.